Okay, so yesterday was the Poison Nectar Monthly for the month of March. There's supposed to be two of them this month, and I competed in it, and I actually ended up getting second. This is editing, Kel, here. I just realized I said second place in the video. I actually meant to say sixth, so I got sixth place. I got top 8, sixth place, not second. My boy Julian actually got second place, and my buddy Dry got first. So I don't want to have that take away from them and think that I said that on purpose. I just completely said second on accident. I meant sixth. I'm sorry, boyos. Place with a deck that I kind of threw together, but it actually had a lot of really good moving parts that I kind of wanted to go into as to the deck and building it. And this is kind of what I was waiting on, to do a lot of different deck profiles for you guys, because I don't want to reveal stuff before I play it, you know, especially if I end up doing well. But like I said, I ended up getting sixth, and I ended up getting sixth with JAWBLIN. JAWBLIN, I think, is in a very interesting place right now because there are a lot of things in the metagame that just suck against having their position changed. In general, if you can change something's position, you're kind of golden. There's very few instances where JAWBLIN can't out something, and that's against the main things like GLITCHXCITY, things like that are able to turbo out a bunch of 3-drops that have insane power that would prevent you from even getting JAWBLIN out. But this deck even has a pretty decent JAWBLIN matchup because of how the runes are set up. So let's go ahead and just look right into everything. Of course, the main goal of the deck was to get out at least one JAWBLIN. If you got out 2, you were able to do whatever you want. You then got 2 Snark and 2 Foamy to attempt to search your Snark. Now, for full transparency, Foamy was the weak link of the deck because a lot of decks were running Spectaris. They were running a bunch of things that made it extremely difficult for Foamy to just have its ability activated. So at the end of the day, I don't think Foamy is necessary. If I could change anything right off the bat, I would take out a Foamy and put in another Snark, because at least this is under Atlantis is a 4/4, pretty difficult to get over. Like, it can't be outed by Eddie, things like that. So I really like Foamy, but I don't think it's good in this metagame because of how prevalent Spectaris is. But we then have 3 Eddie, and another unbelievable card in the deck was Veritaqua, and then 2 Galaxy, and then you've got your 2 Sluggle, your 1 Drataya. This comprised of the vast majority of how games were trying to go. I was trying to get out a Galaxy to try to put on pressure early on until I could find a Foamy or a Snark to then be able to search for my JAWBLIN to get JAWBLIN in hand. And then once you have JAWBLIN in hand, combined with your Eddie, you're able to draw an insane amount of cards. If you're able to use JAWBLIN effect, expend a water, change something's position, and let's say you're changing it from defense to attack, and you don't want it to be an attack for whatever reason. You then play Eddie, change it back to defense. That's 2 cards you draw. That's also not counting if you have a Veritaqua out on field and you want it to be in defense. You can actually just suppress it and destroy it right away. The main reason why I will say this card was unbelievably good: when this Veritaqua enters battle with a defense position Alestral, you can suppress that Alestral and destroy it. If you do, this Veritaqua deals no damage this battle. So it's able to essentially just hit over any little defense position Alestral, and with how much you're changing your opponent's Alestrals, it's really good. And then of course, Sluggle and your Dratagua are just for your heals. And then of course you play the obligatory 2 Rabbit, and then this was the silent star of the deck, was Oistillery. I loved this card because you're playing so many water cards. You're able to just ditch whatever you want, pop a card, whether it's pop a back row because you're scared of getting shielded with your JAWBLIN. You can pop any big body Alestral. There's so many good things, and even against something like a Blistrix, you're able to rise from the depths, get back a little guy, heal 3, play Oistillery, discard a card, get rid of their big guy. And under Atlantis, it's actually a 6/10, so it's even harder to out under Atlantis. But very, very, very good Alestrals lineup. The only real thing that I would change is I would take the Foamies out for another Snark, or I would alter it a little bit to make it a little bit more of a lunar aggro along with Snark and JAWBLIN in the main. So I would keep like these 3 and then try to put in like a knobby doppelganger, since it already runs pretty well with lunar, having JAWBLIN as a lunar Alestral. While the Alestrals are very important for this deck, I think that the runes are actually much more important. So let's go ahead and talk about what runes I ran. Of course, you have your 3 Ambro, your 3 Gorgons, your 3 Shield, and your 2 Tsunami. 8 back row, I think currently is plenty. I don't think you need much more than 8. If you have much more than 8, I think you start to end up bricking and start not drawing into the pieces that you need. But this deck, I was able to find a way to also play triple Atlantis and triple Rise from the Depths. So these cards actually run really, 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 really well with Oistillery, which is why I think Oistillery was such a really good card in the deck. Because if you draw into your extra Atlantis and you've already got an Atlantis on board, usually that's a dead card, right? But with Oistillery, you discard a water card and you get to pop something. So it turns a dead card into the ability to just absolutely punish your opponent for leaving an Oistillery on the field. They think that you're going to have to get rid of a Tsunami, of an Eddy, something along those lines. Nope, you just get rid of an Atlantis. A completely dead card, otherwise you just get rid of it. And if they have a Temple of the Moon or a Temple of the Sun or anything like that, you're able to just go ahead and play your Atlantis and then you're golden. And then Rise from the Depths allows for a lot of really, really, really cool plays. So if you, let's say you have 2 Rise from the Depths in your hand and you have a JAWBLIN on board, you can Rise from the Depths, get back an Eddy. You're able to change a position, draw a card because of JAWBLIN. You can then ascend over your Eddy with another Eddy, change their position. You can ascend over it with an Oistillery, discard a water card, pop something. You can then Rise from the Depths, get your Eddy back, change it again, and you're drawing 3 cards for their 1, not counting JAWBLIN's effect itself. So with 2 Rise from the Depths, you're actually able to draw an entire 5 cards total. It allows for some insane card advantage, which can honestly just take a game away, not including the fact that we also have 2 Nectar of the Gods. This is optional. This could have been Hurricane, and honestly probably should have been Hurricane, but I wanted to be able to find the pieces that I needed a little bit more. I also have a single Rock in a Hard Place. This also could have been Hurricane, but I like what Rock in a Hard Place does because it is another search target for JAWBLIN, and it's kind of pseudo Earthquake and pseudo Hurricane all at the same time, making them choose between either a single back row or their Alestral on board. So I really like Rock in a Hard Place. I would not have taken this out. If I was going to add Hurricane into this, I probably would have taken out the Nogs, but that's just me. And then the final card, of course, is Earthquake. As you notice, I'm not running Resting. I'm actually running it inside, but we will get into side deck here in just a minute. Overall, the rune and the back row line of this, 3 Ambro plus your 2 Sluggle and your the Dratagua, they allow for some insane amounts of healing. It's actually kind of busted, but overall, very, very good. Very happy with my rune lineup. And then lastly, for your spirit math, you have got $13 Leviathan, 3 Owloon, 2 Terratlas, 2 Zaptor. Ultimately, it's pretty obvious. You're running through a lot of water cards, but that's also what you can heal the most of. Your 3 Owloon, this allows you to get out both JAWBLIN and your Rock in a Hard Place in your main deck. Allows you to get out your Earthquakes, allows you to get out both Zaptors. You don't really need much else in your main deck. Now, if you were putting in a Hurricane, what I would have done is I would have taken out an Aloon for a Lycoris, so that way you could go Hurricane and a single Rabbit. But I really liked having this. I think it worked out very, very well, and I think if you run any less than 13, you start to run into positions where you can't activate JAWBLIN's effect as much as you want to, and that's less than ideal. You really want to be able to activate JAWBLIN's effect as much as you possibly can to be able to draw as many cards. And once you're able to draw a bunch of cards, you essentially win the game. So now for my side deck options, I'm running a single Flurmine and an extra Aloon. I'm running 3 Poison Tipped Arrow, 2 Cryoblast, 2 Spectaris, 2 Tsunami High Tide, a single Curubus, Rock in a Hard Place, another Veritaqua, and Resting. So this was kind of a hard side deck to make up, right? Because I think that actually Cryoblast and Flurmine, they need to be in main deck. After playing this tournament, I'm like dead set on that, actually. I think for Dallas, I'm going to have to play Cryoblast and Flurmine in main deck because, I mean, even if you just look at the Elestrals that I'm running in this, okay, doesn't die to Cryoblast, dies to Cryoblast, dies to Cryoblast, dies to Cryoblast. So it, even in this one where there's not a lot that happen to die from a Cryoblast, there's a bunch of scenarios where Cryoblast just forces your opponent to play in such a different way. For example, you can, let's say you're playing up against Lunar Aggro, they have a Werepup out, and Werepup has Full Moon set in the back. You can Cryoblast. You can then threaten to destroy the Werepup with Cryoblast, force them to activate New Moon to ascend it to be able to avoid the Cryoblast, then just place an Eddy, change its position, and then hit over their Lyca Void that they just used. So very, 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 very strong into Lunar Aggro. It takes out things like Nobby, Spectaris, Eddy, bunch of very, very, very good cards. So I think this actually needs to be in main. I don't know what I would change to get it in main in this deck, though. That's the only thing. Aloon is because I'm running another Rock in a Hard Place to Spectaris, so I wanted to have the additional spirit. But I also have Tsunami High Tide. Tsunami High Tide is a very, very, very good way to be able to force some position changes, so that way you're able to force to draw cards, but it also allows you to heal. So this is really good in tandem with Dratagua because you can force your opponent to change some positions around, you draw 2, and you also get to heal a water to your field. So you just put that on your Dratagua, and then you get to heal an additional 2 water. So really, you're only paying a single Lunar Spirit, but you're also healing an additional water. So very, very, very good card with Dratagua on the field. And then, of course, you already know about Veritaqua. I think it's an unsung hero of the deck. There are so many scenarios where they're going to have defense position Elestrals that this card is just absolutely bonkers. Resting, because I feel like if you don't at least have it inside, you're kind of throwing a little bit. And then a single Curubus. So after JAWBLIN in game 1, if you're able to get JAWBLIN up and running, it can 100% run away with the game. They're going to be playing a bunch of things to try to get around it. So the way that you counter that is you just switch altogether into a big body like Curubus. Under Atlantis becomes an 11-4, very strong, can't be outed by Eddy. You would have to like Eddy, let that go down, and then hopefully also have a Spectaris on the field. But this also allows you to disenchant 2 water from your field in order to destroy a card. If it is destroyed this way, return a spirit from your underworld to your spirit deck up to the number of spirits that were enchanting that card. So if you're able to get Rock in a Hard Place with an Eddy on field, get out Curubus, and let's say you already have something on the field for some reason, or you have a Rise from the Depths, or you have whatever, you know, you're able to then play your Kerberos, disenchant the 2, destroy the Blitztrix that could be on the opponent's field, and then heal 3 spirits because they had 3 spirits on their Blitztrix. Could even have 4. Very, very, very good side deck. A lot of the things that I sided into the most were Cryoblast, Spectaris, and Resting, PTA. I actually went into everything at least twice in the tournament. So I think that's how you know it's a good side deck, whenever everything seems to have some sort of value. But that is going to wrap up this deck list profile for JAWBLIN. Ultimately, I think JAWBLIN is a very, very, very good deck. I would alter it a little bit from how I ran it, but I'm definitely going to be bringing this to side events in Dallas. I think it is very, 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 very strong, and I think it has a lot of promising attributes to it. So I don't think this will be what I compete with in Dallas, but it'll definitely be something that I bring for side events, because I think this deck is very, 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 very strong. If you guys did enjoy, and you enjoy JAWBLIN just as much as I do, make sure you guys leave a like down below for me. I'm sorry about my webcam being really like laggy and not at the proper frame rate that it should be. I don't know what's going on with it. I'm trying to figure that out. But with that, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.